It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather's senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams.
Hello there, South Mississippi, and thank you for waking up with Wesley. I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. So happy MLK Day Monday to you. If you have any plans today, we're on the chilly side, but there are some changes that I'm tracking for you. Here's what I find on our map as we go into your Monday. There's a high pressure ridge across the region, and there's an upper trough or a low that is farther to the north. And the flow between those two systems is pulling in some rather cold air for our region heading into today. There's a look at the 8 a.m. temperatures, where we are near freezing in coastal Mississippi and finding temperatures deeper into the freezer off to our north. So that's kind of the bad news if you're planning on spending some time outdoors today. You are going to need to be bundled up, and you're probably going to need to stay that way for most of the day. But the good news is that at least we have some sunshine. You can see there with a crystal clear sky. It's a beautiful view along the coast. Temperatures this morning, as of the 8 o'clock hour, are mainly in the 30s. And now that the sun is getting higher in the sky, some locations are beginning to rise above freezing, which is good news for your car's windshield if it's parked outside, because earlier this morning there might have been a layer of frost on your car windshield. But as we get toward 9 in the morning and definitely by 10 in the morning, most car windshields that are parked outside should no longer have that layer of frost on them, especially if they are exposed to direct sunlight. But here's a look at what I'm tracking for you. Even though it is a chilly start to the week, things are going to change by midweek. Planning on milder air moving in and eventually seeing some rain chances. And the weekend, well, it does not look like it's going to be completely dry at this moment in time. So let's take a look at your planner for you as we start off Monday. And you can see temperatures this morning into the 40s by 9 in the morning, and then into the 50s by noon and this afternoon. And seeing that wind out of the north and east at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So again, for any MLK Day Monday plans, a chilly day, but at least there is plenty of sunshine, only a passing cloud if that. Now we got to talk about the pattern here temperature wise, because remember I told you there's a ridge of high pressure that's located about here or so. And remember, we always talk, what determines our temperature very often is where's the air coming from. So we look at the sort of pattern, the pressure pattern, because that often determines which way the wind is blowing. And today we're going to get a wind from the north. We know this because there's a high pressure system located west of us, and winds around a high pressure system flow in a clockwise fashion. So that's going to get us this wind coming in from the north like that. And that's helping to pull down some cooler air from the north. That's why temperatures are below normal across parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. But then on the other side of that circulation, you actually have the wind coming in from the south and east. If you continue that clockwise circle around the high, you got the winds coming in off the Gulf like this. And that's why places in Texas today are going to find temperatures pretty mild. In some cases, they'll be above normal. Temperatures there will rise into the 60s and 70s in the Lone Star State. Eventually, that high pressure will move east, and so later this week, we are going to see an increase in temperature. We can actually look at the next 3 days and already see that increase in temperature. Today, chilly. Tonight, a freeze. Tomorrow, chilly. But then we get to Wednesday and starting to see the temperatures go up. So we'll see milder 60s beginning on Wednesday. The thing is, that is going to come along with some increase in cloud cover as well as an increase in rain chance. As of the latest adjustment to the forecast, we've seen the rain chances go up in this range anytime between Wednesday, Thursday, as well as into parts of Friday and the weekend. So that's going to be that time frame that we're watching for rain chances. And in there's some nuance, but I think some of your highest rain chances are going to probably be around Saturday or Saturday night. That's going to be one of our best potentials for wet weather. Let's break it down for you day by day with Futurecast. So here's a look at Monday's Futurecast. Looks pretty dry here across the Gulf Coast region with little to no rain for any MLK Day Monday plans. Tomorrow for Tuesday, we're still looking at generally pretty nice and dry conditions here, although with that high pressure tomorrow located a little bit more toward the east. I would say the position of this is probably about here. So, today that high is west of us. Tomorrow the high will be east of us. So we're going to begin to see this wind. I would say it's basically for us mostly an east wind. But for our neighbors in Texas, this is actually more of a southeast wind. It's coming in from the southeast. And that actually will kick up some moisture from the Gulf. And that moisture from the Gulf is how there will begin to be some rain showers developing over Texas. So watch this area here and watch for the development of rain showers as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday. Look at there, right where I circled, we see that increase in rain showers because they're getting kind of that moisture, that Gulf moisture pumped into parts of the Texas coast. Now, there's also something else happening. There's a quick moving upper disturbance that's moving from west to east, and this is also going to in turn pull in some wind off the Gulf. What's going to wind up happening is there's going to be low pressure developing over East Texas. And so that will work in tandem with the high, which is basically way over here by the time we get to Wednesday. So the wind around that low is counterclockwise. And so we get that wind coming in like this, which is pulling the Gulf moisture up into East Texas and parts of North Louisiana. And you also have the high well off toward the east, part of the Atlantic part of the map. So this is what we're going to watch for, this Wednesday rain that pops up in Texas, Louisiana, and will eventually head our way to Mississippi at some point between Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's not a very fast-moving area because the upper disturbance that makes it develop kind of leaves it behind. So it just kind of, this moisture just kind of slowly drifts across the Gulf Coast region. At times on Thursday, we can see those showers in or near South Mississippi on Thursday. We can also see some of those showers in or near South Mississippi at times on Friday. But the attention on Friday is going to turn to the middle part of the country. By this point, if you've been checking your social media feeds, you've probably seen some of these maps showing from other meteorologists this large sprawling winter storm that is forecast to develop on Friday in the plains, and eventually this sprawling winter storm is going to slowly slide toward the east and southeast as we go to the weekend. So what does this mean? Well, we take a look at Saturday's map, for example. Now this is only one run of one computer model, and so don't expect this to be locked in, the exact information that you're seeing here. But what I am seeing is snow from Oklahoma to North Carolina. I'm seeing ice, that's the pink color there, a mixture of wintry precipitation, so that's ice from Texas to North Mississippi to South Carolina. And we're seeing rain from the Texas coast right toward the Mississippi coast. Now, while during the day on Saturday, maybe most of this frozen wintry precipitation stays north of our Mississippi coast. It's what happens Saturday night. If this all begins to slide toward the east and southeast, that might eventually get some of that snow ice a little bit closer to our coast. I'll let this play out from Saturday to Sunday, and you can kind of see some of that getting a little bit closer to us before we dry up on Sunday. We do have a more zoomed in Futurecast that we'll take a look at here in the 7-day, but I do think Saturday will wind up ultimately, based on the current information, it will wind up being our best potential for wet weather over the next 7 days. Saturday, we're probably going to see that rain chance in the 40 to 50, maybe even higher percentage range. And so there's a close look at Saturday morning. We are not really seeing much wet weather in coastal Mississippi Saturday morning based on this Monday update to the forecast. But then we go to Monday PM and we're starting to see better rain chances along the Mississippi coast. So it looks like, do you have some weekend plans this weekend? We're getting closer and closer to Mardi Gras Day. Weekends do tend to have parades across the Gulf Coast region. And if you're planning parades, around Saturday, this coming Saturday, any other Mardi Gras type festivities, just look, we see some wet weather on the map, Saturday afternoon. Now, while we're seeing a green color on the coast, there's a pink color near Jackson. That's an indication of ice in the form of freezing rain and or sleet. So that could be a possibility for them, which could be a big traffic or travel headache for northern parts of our state. The thing is, as we go later on into the evening, look at the line. The pink line gets a little bit closer, right? 6 p.m., it's near Macomb. 9 p.m., it's going toward and south of Hattiesburg, almost into our 6 southernmost counties. And that's actually by 10 or 11 p.m. we're seeing that. So just keep in mind as we go to the weekend, we're watching if that snow ice area, how close can it get down to our coast? So what does the forecast say right now? Right now, it just says there's going to be snow ice somewhere in the region. But for us in coastal Mississippi, our WLOX forecast currently calls for rain showers. Our current WLOX forecast does not call for snow and ice in coastal Mississippi. If you check any forecast created by any meteorologist on this weather team, there's no mention of snow ice in coastal Mississippi as a chance of seeing that as of Monday's update to the information. But what will Tuesday's update show? What will Wednesday's update show? Thursday? I do think that we're going to see, as the models get a clearer picture on what's expected to happen, we will probably see some adjustments to the forecast on a daily basis. Sometimes the forecast might change multiple times a day. I might come in the morning and the models have changed from last night. I think that's literally what happened this morning. Whatever models the weekend team was looking at last night, they changed when I came in this morning, so I had to adjust the forecast. Whatever models I'm looking at this morning, they might change by noon. And then when the PM team comes in later today, they might have to adjust the forecast again. And this kind of daily, if not multiple times a day adjustment is probably going to keep cycling through until we get around Friday. That's what happened last week. Remember, we were giving you hints about a chance of snow. Last week, we kept looking ahead to last weekend, and we weren't really able to get very detailed about it until basically Friday. So I suspect the same thing will happen here. You're probably not going to hear any meaningful detail about what to expect for this weekend until basically Friday. So if you don't want all the flip-flopping back and forth, maybe tune out for the next 3 or 4 days and save yourself the headache and the stress. And just come back on Friday when I bet there will be a much more meaningful update on this. But if you like to, play the race and keep up with the latest changes as things might go back and forth, then keep checking back each day. I would imagine the forecast is probably going to keep changing over and over. That wet time frame that's mainly from Thursday to Friday to parts of Saturday is going to probably come to an end around Sunday. A cold front comes in, and that's what helps the forecast to dry out. So if we take a quick peek at the 10-day, you'll notice that there's no mention of wet weather once we get beyond this Sunday and get into the last few days of January. So even though the weekend, Saturday, wet, Sunday, less wet, both inland and on the coast. Once we get to Monday of next week, it looks like it's completely dry, but it also looks like there's going to be multiple rounds of freezing temperatures. 27 in Wiggins on Monday morning, 29 in Ocean Springs on Monday morning, 27 in Wiggins on Tuesday morning, 31 in Ocean Springs on Tuesday morning. So you got multiple mornings there next week that could face freezing temperatures. I guess just like this week, this week started off chilly. Is starting off chilly, and eventually we see some change. Well, it looks like next week also will start off pretty chilly, and maybe there could be some change down the line from there. Well, that'll pretty much do it for this edition of Waking Up with Wesley. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Till then, take care.
Thank you for watching Waking Up with Wesley with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.